Hello fellow critics, welcome back to the alley. The show's still going ape over golden bananas like it's 1999.
Oh, banana.
Man, what a year for video games it's gonna be, guys. The Switch 2 is scheduled to come out finally, and on that list of launch titles is a game that many of us have been beating our chests in anticipation waiting for, a Donkey Kong title that isn't a remake. I'm so excited about this that I put the other 2 episodes that I'm editing on hold so that I could work on this. You might be able to notice because I can't grow my hair that fast. Fun part is, not only are we getting a new game, but our old pal seems to have a new look. Or does he? Looking around at the world, it seems like something's just a little bit different, doesn't it? First, this new design isn't technically new. It's the same look we're getting for him in the new Mario Kart World game, as well as a very similar look to the Super Mario movie. Second, the only other Kong we recognize so far is Cranky. Where are all the other Kongs? I mean, we got these chimps down in the mine that kinda look like Diddy, but clearly they aren't. Third, we not only see a brand new island, but it seems like this one's been up and running for a while, when a lot of the locales that Donkey's conquests take him to are generally remote and less discovered. But the biggest thinker of all, in my opinion, is who our adversaries are. The bug-eyed Gator King that we've been fighting for years is missing. No tiki monsters, no strange creatures that seem to be thought up in a 6-year-old's cartoon, and none of those frosty freaks from Tropical Freeze. No, these antagonists point to something much deeper and darker. Something that is whispered through Treetop Town when the lights go out. The Great Ape War. Do you remember that one guy who chucked barrels like a junkie hooper? They say him and his ilk were banished from the Kong family for savagery and being traitors. Them and the Minkies. They say that they were probably influenced by King K. Rool and his crocodile cronies, but something tells me this rivalry is deeper than the monkey minds. The war that shaped the lands and the lives of all of them going forward. We can clearly see that Funky Kong got his love of blowing things up from somewhere before he ended up becoming the peace-loving, chill guy that he is in the DKC period. It's almost like King K. Rool pointing his gator-shaped Death Star at Kong Island triggered the shell shock and released the funk beast from within. Like Disco Inferno level fury. Side note, there's something I notice about the name Donkey Kong. It really seems to be more of a moniker than an actual name. Like, there only seems to be one of-age Donkey Kong at a time. Think about it. OG DK becomes Cranky Kong when Donkey Kong Jr. is old enough to take the name. So once the next one is ready, the predecessor changes his name, i.e. Cranky. Donkey might mean king to them, maybe? If I'm right, then Donkey Kong from the DKC era is just old enough to inherit the moniker himself, which would make sense why he might not be the smartest banana in the bunch. Interestingly enough, there is an age-appropriate ape hanging out at the beginning of the DKC era who might have just thought it was time to pass on the title. Maybe, just maybe, at the start, the previous Donkey Kong decided it was time to hang up the name, threw on some sunglasses, and got himself a whole new chill personality. Probably make use of that time he had as a child working with tools at strange construction sites. Choosing a life of leisure over adventure would definitely get you called a lazy good-for-nothing by a certain cantankerous old coot that we're familiar with. Sure, he calls Donkey Kong Esquire that as well, but it probably started somewhere. I don't know, man, if my son were on a quest too, I'd want to keep showing up and supporting him in all the ways I could. Suffice to say that the timeline, if there is one, is probably going to get about as messy as the Legend of Zelda timeline. So let's jump back a page, talk about our new design, because it's going to come full circle. Like a confused naughty. Tell me, is there any other character in this franchise that this smiling fellow reminds you of? Because I don't know if you noticed, but the Rareware DK that we've all gotten used to seeing really prefers the breeze on his banana. The first thought I had when I saw these facial features was, look, it's DK Jr. We're finally going to get to hear his story. And that is exactly what I think is going on. I think the reason we don't see any familiar Kong buddies is because they haven't joined the Kong family yet. Because the Kong clan is being established throughout the events of this game. And I think they came together over common ideas, the lands they live on, and a need for survival. Those illustrious villains that I momentarily mentioned earlier? Yeah, well, if you saw the Nintendo Direct, then you probably noticed the same thing I did. Every single bad guy is a primate. Go watch for yourself. When you combine this with the very happy citizens mining their lives away that we see in the very beginning, it starts to paint a darker narrative. I don't think these guys are there to make a fortune. Well, at least not for them. That's right. I'm saying this is a prequel game, and our hero is Donkey Kong Jr., son of Cranky Kong, and father of Donkey Kong Esquire from the DKC period. And he is smack dab in the middle of the Great Ape War. It's a conflict that will shape the future and hopefully explain to us what happened to the Kong from the self-titled Donkey Kong Jr. game. People have been speculating about it since it occurred, and we learned that DK from the DKC era is Cranky Kong's grandson. We might even get to learn who DK Esquire's mom is through the events of this game. Wouldn't that be cool? Thanks to an accidental spoiler, we now have a picture of Pauline hanging on for dear life to DK's tie as he's executing a ground pound, which to me seems to point even more to the fact that he's DK Jr. Apes live 20 to 45 years roughly, meaning that DK Jr. reaching maturity would not cause Pauline to look too different since humans live longer and age a little slower. Remember, it was Cranky Kong who kidnapped Pauline, which means that DK Jr. is probably a little more friendly considering look at that goofy guy. This is also the reason why Pauline probably names her new metropolis New Donk City. An adventure bonds you, after all. The last thing I want to touch on real quick is we don't seem to be just hunting bananas in this one, but a material called banandium. A combination of bananas and power source. When he breaks a big one, he can eat the little pieces, but when he grabs up a chunk of it off the ground and throws it, it literally explodes. That's some crazy powered fruit. And learning this kind of reminded me of some banana facts. Did you know that bananas are berries? They grow in bushes which get really tall, but they're not quite trees. And they have the seeds inside them. And hey, did you know that bananas are radioactive? Radioactive, radioactive. Not much, of course. Potassium-40 is a radioactive isotope of potassium. But never fear, the amount is so minute that you're probably exposed to more radiation in your daily setting, so you can keep munching away. Although that last bit did get me thinking, what if bananium being super bananiums means it has a supercharged amount of radiation in them? I mean, it would make sense how they could explode on contact and be used as a power source for things. Also, it could be the reason why Donkey Kong is ridiculously strong. I mean, he's punching through cave walls in that demo. Literal cave walls. Those are solid. Creatures have been documented to change when exposed to radiation. Of course, real-world animals have an increasingly negative response to radioactive stimuli, but anyone who has visited the Fallout universe knows that sci-fi and video games love to use radiation as an excuse to make their creatures huge, strong, and mutated, to say the least. We probably won't see the giant fire-breathing ants from Grey Ditch, but we can probably also assume that Nintendo would think this is a fun way to make things bigger, faster, and stronger too for the first member of the DK crew. So what do you guys think? Are you going bananas over all this new info we have on this awesome new title? What other surprises do you think we'll see? And what are your thoughts on the Great Ape War? So go ahead and hop in the comments, tell me your opinion, especially if you think I'm wrong, because that's the fun part about theorizing. It helps us all think a little deeper. Critically yours, The Fox.